first segment, Andrew's going to speak about where the Make It Fair campaign came from.
And after all, it's really that opening in that door, the crack in the door after 20 years waiting for the attention to look at labor law. And before that, I think the frustration with a number of unions going to arbitration with members with different cases that affect whether by weakening of labor law or also the Employment Standard Act. If they're a union that do organizing drive, then that's also another crucial area where a lot of fail organizing drive. A lot of workers who lose their job just to organize into a union, and some of the workers who want to have a union but dare to even tread that path because of what they see, the example of people who try to do that, and the lack of respect in the place because people can't go out openly and organize into a union. One area where a lot of unions look at it that they're losing density within their union, and the more that they're losing members, and they lose it in different ways. One, we see where a lot of union out there, a few union, I would say, that lose their members because the company either pack up and go south. And so that the number reduced that way. And then we see where, in some cases where members retire, and the employer either they don't rehire somebody in that place. So now you have growing workload for the people that's still around. And if they do hire back, they hire part-time workers. That there's a reason why the employer slashed those jobs to be part-time. They don't have to pay into their health and welfare. These are the people that have to go and get another job somewhere else across the city to make up the full-time jobs. They're either doing 2 or 3 jobs just to get full-time hours in that way. They're not, for these people getting ready to retire later on, then they feel the impact of it. They can't afford to retire because they're working in this precarious job out there. So it benefits the employer knowing that they don't have to pay into health and welfare. Sometimes they don't even have vacation coverage. The employer would go to the bargaining table and they would sit there and they would ask for cutback in different ways. And they realized quickly that as we push back at them, they were not able to accomplish some of these. So they start looking for, in a strategic way, how they bond with other employer to weaken the union and also to take away some stuff, whether it's under employment standard or labor law. So one, they then introduced the 2-tier wages. So that's another prioritized area for labor, where there's these 2 and even 3-tier wages in places. These are the same worker that do the same amount of work as their other co-worker next door, but they have to work so long to even catch up, if they ever catch up. So they introduced the 2-tier wages. They then have employee that would come in thinking that they're just full-time employee, and then later they let them go and they're here in you're a contract worker. They never know that. So that's another way of not giving them what's rightfully theirs. So we decided that we need to focus on union density, making sure that organizing right is out there where people can organize without fear and intimidation. And then we look at a number of our own family members. We look at our neighbors who are out there working through temp agency. And some of these temp agency wasn't just a private company that popped up next door. It was huge corporation that was creating temp agency within it. In some cases they will hire, but for all those months that these workers are in there, they're getting less pay. There's no benefit paid. And so Magna have an opportunity to save off of the back of a number of these workers. In some cases, they're not Magna's agency. It's agency that decide on how much they take out of these worker wages. So there's not a set rate that all these agencies have in place to say there's a guideline of how much you take. So then that employee could be working for $26 an hour, but they do not know, because the agency take most of that, so they walk away with $11 out of that pay. So they're in that case, they're working for 2 employers. So one of the things that we wanted to do with this process is to push again to say to the government that you need to make the primary employer accountable when they have these employees under their roof, but yet the agency get to do what they want. If the employee get hurt on the job, they just go away. There's no coverage with WSIB, there's no coverage with medication, they go away. And that employer don't have to be responsible. So we're saying they need to be responsible. It's two employer, but you are the primary employer also. We have people who go out to work, and if they're sick, then they have to go to work anyway. It's also another group of people that they're getting sick. But the employer is also asking for sick notes on top of that. And the doctor could charge anything they want for sick notes. So this is what a lot of people go through, knowing that if this is the only job they have to struggle through that. And we are saying this should be something that the government need to take a look at, that if somebody is sick, they have a right to sick days. They have a right to go home and take care of their loved one who's also sick without feeling like that's the end of the job that they have. So again, as we look at a long shopping list of things that labor want, what the community want, the Ontario Federation of Labor decided that we have to figure out how do we work with the community, because it's not just about labor law. It's also about employment standard. It affects some of our own members. And how do we push for stronger labor law, that someone who's over here making minimum wage maybe one day want to join a union and also bargain for a decent contract, that they don't always have to be pushing for the government to give decent wages. So again, as we call that, a pathway out of poverty is through a union. So we want to make sure that they're not running away thinking, okay, this is just about union using community to get what they want, but to make sure that our message are the same. And that's where Make It Fair campaign came from.